All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Bruce, the Epic Experiment. We got another deck, another day. Here we go. Today we're doing something special. We are doing Lathril, Blade of Elves. Lathril is super fun commander. One of the most popular commanders ever printed. So 2 black green for a 2/3 legendary creature, Elf Noble with Menace. Whenever Lathril deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 green Elf Warrior creature tokens. And then tap 10 untapped elves you control. Each opponent loses 10 life and you gain 10 life. So this is just what it sounds like. This is Elf Ball Tribal. This deck is special because it's a budget version of it. So this is about 125 bucks altogether. Gets you into, I'm going to have a talk, it will be honest, it'll be more than a bracket 2 deck. It'll be more like a bracket 3, but this will be our a pretty fun deck for somebody getting introduced to the game. Somebody new. There's some fun, cool things you can do with it. So let's talk about what $125 worth of elf deck looks like. So Lathril is a lightning rod for removal. Everybody knows Lathril. The way you beat Lathril is you kill him, and you kill him lots. So the first thing we need to talk about is all the ramp. We need ramp to keep him on the battlefield, because you're going to have to replay him 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe even, in order to get to the point where you can attack with him with impunity. So let's talk about how we're ramping to keep Lathril on the game. Elvish Rejuvenator. So 2 and a green, 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you'll look for the top 5 cards. You put a land from among them into your hand. Into the battlefield. Tapped. Put the rest of the bottom in random order. This will allow you to get a hand on land drops, so you can cast your Lathril. We have good old Sol Ring. Everybody needs a Sol Ring. Awesome card. All right, next we have Arbor Elf on top of Forest. Super good, allows you to get ahead. Canopy Tactician, so 3 and a green for a 3/3. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Sure, cool, always good. And then tap to add 3 green. All right, there we go. We're talking about ramp. We have a rampant growth. This one we've seen lots. We have a leaf glider. Sorry, leaf gilder. I got it wrong. 1 and a green for a 2/1. Tap to add a green to your mana pool. We have a Tireless Provisioner. This one I like. So 2 and a green for a 3/2 with landfall. Whenever land enters the battlefield, you can create a food token or a treasure token. Treasure token is obviously the way to go here, because you're going to get yourself, like kind of like Lotus Cobra, get pulled ahead on land. Birchlore Rangers. A single green for a 1/1. It's an elf. Tap 2 untapped elves you create to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And it does have the morph ability on it, which is not really relevant. Alright, Llanowar Elves, yep, need that guy. Priest of Titania, so this is a great inclusion from Modern Horizons, so 1 and a green for a 1/1. Tap to add a green for each elf on the battlefield, so you can get really far ahead there. Gallagrators, this is another one, 1 and a green for a 1/1. It's an elf, it's got Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Put a +1/+1 counter on Gallagrators, create a tap treasure token, and you gain 2 life. So you're probably going to put the treasure token first, then the counter, then the life, but you never know. And then we have an Elvish Mystic. Alright, so that's all sorts of ramp, but that doesn't mean that's the only way this deck has to create mana. There's a whole bunch of other ways that we'll talk about in a little bit. Oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. I missed my 3 visits. So 3 visits is right there. So there's 3 visits. Alright, let's talk about the other elves that are in this deck. Okay, there's a whole bunch of other elves that are in this deck. Not to mention, Lathril also makes a pile of elves. Alright, so we have Woodland Champion. 1 and a green for a 2/2 Elf Scout. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, put that many +1/+1 counters on Woodland Champion. So if the moment Lathril starts connecting and making elf tokens, Woodland Champion is going to start getting big, and you're going to have a big elf there. And is probably going to get even made bigger by the lords and stuff elsewhere. Elvish Vanguard. 1 and a green for a 1/1 Elf Warrior. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Elvish Vanguard. So, Lathril makes elves, you put counters. Elvish Vanguard sees you cast other elves, you make counters. Looks good. Dwynen, Gilt Leaf Dane. 2 green for a 3/4 with legendary creature Elf Warrior with Reach. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1, and whenever Dwynen attacks, you gain 1 life for each attacking elf you control. Alright, could be good to pad your life total. Ivy Lane Denizen, 3 and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature, Elf Warrior. Whenever another green creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So you have lots of green creatures, lots of elves that enter the battlefield. You can make something really big really quickly. We have an infestation sage. One black for a 1/1 elf warlock. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token. This is handy because if something needs to die or you need to use it to sacrifice to something, this you don't really feel bad because you don't lose out on the body. We have Herald, King of Skemfar, 1 black green 3/2 legendary creature elf warrior with menace. When Herald, King of Skemfar, enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an elf, warrior, or Tyvar card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is going to help you go and dig up your elves. Sounds good to me. Elves Visionary, 1 and a green, 1/1. Elves Visionary enters the battlefield, draw a card. Okay. We have a Glistener Elf. This one's kind of mean. My son found it in my one of my boxes and said it's got to go in the Lathril deck. So a single green for a 1/1 elf warrior with infect. If you start putting +1/+1 counters on this thing, people die to infect very readily. We have a Reclamation Sage. All right, enters the battlefield, destroy target enchantment or artifact. We have an Imperious Perfect. We have 2 and a green for a 2/2. Other elves you control get +1/+1. Green and tap, create a 1/1 Grief Elf Warrior creature token. And then we have Thornweld Archer. 1 and a green for a 2/1 with reach and death touch. A lot of keywords on that one for a small creature. All right. Now, the other piece I have to recognize is that our commander, Lathril, is going to be a lightning rod for removal. There are some things we can do about that, so, apart from just having to recast him. So let's talk about how we get it back. So we have a Snakeskin Veil. So Snakeskin Veil is a single green for put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains hexproof until end of turn. So you're going to make Lathril a little bit bigger at instant speed to protect it from a targeted removal spell. Withstand Death, same sort of thing. Single green for instant. Target creature is indestructible this turn. So they try to destroy it. You're going to be able to get it back, keep it in the battlefield. Without Weakness, 1 and a black. Target creature you control gains indestructible till end of turn, and it too is an instant. So give your thing indestructible so they cannot destroy Lathril. And then we have Down and Dirty. So we have the downside, which says black and 3. Target player discards 2 cards. And 2 and a green for the dirty side. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a regrowth effect on a split card. These are interesting cards. These are from Dragon's Maze because you can actually play both halves if you have enough mana. And in a deck like this where you're making a lot of mana, you can probably get away with it. All right, let's talk about how we're going to draw a bunch of cards. Because you know what? It's really important that you draw cards because you're going to be deploying lots of elves really quickly. So how do you keep your hand full? So Altar's Reap, 1 and a black as additional cost to cast Altar's Reap, sacrifice a creature, you draw 2 cards. This effect has been power crept since then, but this card's still hanging around. It's pretty cheap, so it's a great budget inclusion if you're looking for it. Bloodline Shaman, 1 and a green for a 1/1 elf wizard. Tap, choose a creature type, presumably elves. Reveal the top card of your library. If that card is a creature card of the chosen type, put it in your hand. Otherwise, put it in your graveyard. All right, so it allows you to start churning through your deck and looking for stuff. All right, we have Garrick, Primal Hunter, 2 green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker Garrick. The +1, put a 3/3 beast into play. Okay. -3, draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Well, there we go. So this is usually 5 mana, sack it right away, draw cards equal to the biggest creature you control, which is usually 5, 6, 7, whatever, a lot of cards. You'll be thankful for it. Beast Whisperer, 2 green for a 2/3 elf druid. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Yes, please. We have a Lifecrafter's Bestiary, 3 mana for an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a single green. If you do, draw a card. So you're going to have lots of creatures, because you're an elf deck, you're going to be able to keep your hand full. Vampiric Rites, single black for an enchantment, 1 and a black, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life and draw a card. With all those tokens that Lathril made, if you need to draw cards, you're going to have fodder with which to make use of this. So this could be like a Skull Clamp if you're looking to play a more budget, higher budget level, but for 35 cents, you can't go wrong with Vampiric Rites. And then Genesis Wave. This isn't card advantage in the same way as some of the other cards, but X, green, sorcery. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You can put any number of the permanent cards with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Then put all cards revealed this way that weren't put onto the battlefield into your graveyard. So you're playing an elf deck with lots of ramp. You're going to find a way to dump all sorts of ways, all sorts of mana into this to churn all through the permanents and put them into play. It is a super good card, and in this deck is exactly where it wants to go. All right, let's next talk about how we're not going to lose the game. We do not want to lose the game. Oh, I missed one card there. Vraska joins up. Black and a green for a legendary enchantment. When Vraska joins up, enters the battlefield. Put a death touch counter on each creature you control. Whenever a legendary creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card. Okay? You're mostly looking to make your things difficult to block and unpleasant, but, sometimes you're going to draw cards, and that's going to be good. Okay. How to stop people from killing us? We cast Casualties of War. 2, black, green. Sorcery. Choose one or more. Or 5 modes. Destroy target enchantment, destroy target creature, destroy target enchantment, destroy target land, destroy target planeswalker. If you can go 5 for 5 for that, that is money well spent. It is now it's been reprinted a bunch of times. It's actually really cheap too. Doomblade, 1 and a black, destroy target non-black creature. This is not great because of the fact that it says non-black. So if your opponent is a heavy black deck, you're not going to have a lot of legal targets for this. That's why something Bitter Triumph might be a better inclusion, but for a nickel or whatever this costs, that's a good inclusion. We have Hero's Downfall, 1 black for destroy target creature or planeswalker at instant speed. This originally, I remember this was like a $10 or $15 card in Theros. Now it's an uncommon, and it's now a shiny 15 cents. Good card to include. Liz Alana Scarblade, 2 and a black for a 1/1 elf assassin. Tap, discard an elf card. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves you control. If you own a whole bunch of elves, this is going to be able to mow down all sorts of things. We have Bone Splinters. Single black for a sorcery. As additional cost to cast Bone Splinters, sacrifice a creature, destroy target creature. You're going to have elf tokens you can sacrifice to this to kill things dead. Cast down, 1 and a black, destroy target non-legendary creature. Again, good spell. Struggles against commanders, but is very, very applicable to lots of other things. Flatten, so 3 and a black for a instant target creature is -4/-4 until end of turn. This is a tricky card to cast. The fact that instant speed is good, the fact that it's -4/-4 can be really good to help derail indestructible things. The fact that it's 4 mana is a bit of an oof, but that's okay. It's something for you to be upgraded. Settle the score, 2 black with sorcery, exile target creature. Put 2 loyalty counters on a planeswalker you control. So, the exiling creature sounds really good. Super useful ability. Well worth the inclusion. And then we have Patriarch's Bidding. 3 black. Sorcery. Each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield. So this is going to get you back all your elves and all your things. I guess it doesn't help you lose the game. Prevent you from losing the game, but it certainly helps you win the game. You know what else helps you win the game? Some of these other cards over here. These guys help you win the game. We'll do these ones first. These ones are good. These are these are the traditional sort of heavy hitters. So we have Shaman of the Pack. 1 black-green for a 3/2 with Elf. When Shaman of the Pack enters the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to the number of elves you control. That could very easily be all their life and be dead. We have Full Steam Ahead. 3 green. Sorcery. Until end of turn, each creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample, and this creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. Since many of the elves have menace, that's real problematic because now things are just going to scream by for nothing. Elvish War Master. So 1 and a green for a 2/2. Elf Warrior. Whenever 1 or more elves you enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green Elf Warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then 5 green elves you control get +2/+2 and gain Death Touch until end of turn. We have an Immaculate Magistrate. 3 and a green for a 2/2. Elf Shaman. Tap. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. This and Lathril go great together, so you're going to be able to put a bunch of counters on Lathril as you deal damage to your opponent. The evasion on Lathril is imperative here so that you can get it by. Tap it, put a bunch of counters on it, and make even more elves. Alright. We have Numa, Jaraga Chieftain, 2 and a green, 2/2 legendary creature, elf warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay XX. When you do, distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target elves. Hi, my name is Lathril. I like wearing counters so I can make more elves. Crown of Skemfar, 2 green, enchanted creature is +1/+1 for each elf you control and has reach. 2 and a green, return Crown of Skemfar from your graveyard to your hand. So this goes, Lathril wears this, and now you're attacking for a bajillion because you have a whole bunch of other elves. That makes more elves, and away we go. We have an overrun. This is a classic 2 green. Creatures you can get +3/+3 and gain trample. Trample is the key there. We have Return of the Wild Speaker, so 5 and a green. So this has an instant, you can choose one. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. This could result in you drawing a bunch of cards. Or you could use the other mode, non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 till end of turn. So that's an overrun effect. It doesn't have trample, but sometimes you don't care. Because sometimes you have this in your hand. Azuri, Renegade Leader, 1 green for a 2/2 legendary creature, elf warrior. Green, regenerate another target elf. 2 green. Elf creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. This can stack. So if you can activate this twice or 3 times, you give your things +3/+3, +6/+6, +9/+9, and so on. Now, I recognize that's an awful lot of mana, but you are playing an elf deck and you're making mana. Enraged Forerunners. This is a budget version of a Creator of Behemoth. So 5 green, 7/7 creature, boar, vigilance, trample, haste. When Enraged Forerunners enters the battlefield under your control, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample till end of turn. So pumps your things, gives you trample, and away we go. Defiler of Vigor. So 3 green, 6/6 Phyrexian Worm with trample. As additional cost to cast green permanence spells, you may pay 2 life. Those spells cost 1 green less to cast if you paid life this way. The effect reduces only the amount of green mana that you pay. Whenever you cast a green permanent spell, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, on each creature you control. So very quickly, you're going to be able to put a whole bunch of elves onto the battlefield and pump them really huge with Defiler of Vigor. And last but not least, you have Banner of Kinship, 5 mana artifact. As this artifact enters, choose a creature type, presumably elves. This artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each fellowship counter on this artifact. Alright, so that's how you're going to win the game usually. Let's talk about some other ways. So we've got some other sneaky things we can do. So we have a Yeva, Nature's Herald, 2 green, 4/4 legendary creature, elf shaman with flash, and you may cast green creatures as though they had flash. In an elf deck full of elves, that sounds amazing. So you could put something like a Marwyn into play. 2 and a green for a 1/1 legendary creature, elf druid. Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Marwyn, the Nurturer. Tap, add amount of green equal to Marwyn's power. So the more you play elves, the bigger Marwyn gets. The bigger it gets, the more mana she taps for. We have an Elvish Archdruid. So 1 green for a 2/2. Other elf creatures get +1/+1. Tap, add green to your mana pool for each elf you control. This will be great to allow you to activate Azuri a bunch of times or whatever else you need to do to pump them. Make a bunch of mana. Super useful card. Elvish Champion. So this is 1 green for a 2/2 Lord. Elves get +1/+1 and have Forest Walk. The fact that it grants Forest Walk means that whoever else is playing green at the pod table is probably dying really soon. Fauna Shaman. 1 and a green for a 2/2 Elf Shaman. Green and tap. Discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So you can go find and tutor up the elves that you want to go finish the game with. Then we have the ones that get us into no longer being bracket 2 and more like bracket 3. We have a Seaborn Muse. This and Lathril play great together. So Lathril attacks, deals combat damage, makes a bunch of elves, and then Seaborn Muse allows them to untap, and then when they get to 10, you tap everybody and untap everybody, and Lathril's last ability triggers, so they lose 10 and you gain 10. Seaborn Muse is cracked. It's on the Game Changers list, there is no doubt about it. It's the only game changer in this list, but it's super good. All right, then we have in the infinite mana combo, Tyvar the Pummeler and Devoted Druid. So Tyvar the Pummeler is a pretty good problem here. So he's 1 and a green for a 3/3. Tap another untapped creature you control. Tyvar the Pummeler gets indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Okay, not really relevant. 3 green. Creatures you control get +X till end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Okay, so with this ability, and then Devoted Druid is 1 and a green for a 0/2 with tap, add a green, put a -1/-1 counter on Devoted Druid, untap Devoted Druid. So what's going to happen here, if you can make enough mana to activate Tyvar and bring him up to 5, then you can activate Devoted Druid, and every time you put a -1/-1 counter on it, it's not going to matter for this turn, because it's going to be big enough that you can put the -1/-1 counter and still live through it. You can now you can do it again, and now the amount of power and toughness it gets is even greater, and it allows you to make even more and more mana. So this is an infinite mana combo that you can put in the deck. That doesn't mean you're automatically winning the game by any stretch of the imagination, but it does definitely put you in a position where you can cast almost anything in your deck. You can Genesis Wave for your whole deck. You can cast your whatever you happen to need. You can cast a lot of things with infinite mana. All right, so that's the list. This is my son's list, and he's assembled it together with a little bit of help from Dad. But he's very proud of it, and he wanted me to take it for a spin last night with some friends, and it played really well. So for $125, you got a pretty good deck. Now, is there room for growth and room to build upon it? Yeah. So you can build in the mana base. You can put your shock lands. You can put your fast lands. You can put your whatever you need to put in there. You can mess with the mana base quite a bit to make it quite a bit more efficient and smooth, to make sure that you do not get jammed on mana. Some of the removal spells are not great. They can be replaced with a more high-end choices, but every time you make a high-end choice, like better lands or better removal spell, it's going to cost you more money, and you have to be accepting of that. So for my son at this stage, there's some modest improvements that he wants to make, but on the whole, this deck plays really smoothly. It does a really good job, and is a great tool to help a young player get into the game and really enjoy it. All right, so if you want to check out the list is down below in the notes. You can check it out. You can check out all of our decks at the Epic Experiment Podcast on Moxfield. You can find it there. Everything is there. You can find it all out there. If you'd like to hear our weekly podcast, you can check out the link down below to join our weekly podcast. And of course, like and subscribe. We would love to get to 100. We're going to get to 100 subscriptions for Labor Day at the end of the summer. So help us out. We got the 56. We'd love to grab a few more. Help us out. Like and subscribe. Every little bit helps go a long way to help us get the word out for building some fun budget decks. All right. Thanks very much, everybody. That's Bruce from the Epic Experiment with this week's deck of Lathril, Blade of the Elves. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye.